Hey everyone, Nubkazo here. We are back with another video. So guys, we have the few deals still left on from the spring sales, and those are the sales which are from the publishers, and now the most of the games which has left after the publisher sales, and choose wisely what you're gonna take on. So it has a limited time to 24th to 26th March of this month. So the cheapest as you can get for the $1 and the highest you can get for the $10 to $12. So without wasting any time, let's get to the video. So the first game is coming up from the Contra, Operation Galuga. The legendary Contra series returns. This is reimagining of the classic run-and-gun action games from the 80s. Features new stages, new enemies, new play mechanics, and co-op combat up to 4 players. So we all know we have a childhood favorite games which is from the Contras and all. So we have Operation Galuga, which has totally classical ways of the 2.5D and more improved graphics, more improved gameplay, and we have more co-op gameplays as well, which adds more features to this game and more immersive and more fun to play with the friends with the old games. So it's a 50% off, $800, almost like a $10. So that's the great deals that I can say. But you can, if you want to buy for the run and gun bundle, you can get this Anniversary and Operation Galuga. So Anniversary comes up with these all Super Contra and it's 64 and it'd be 22 feet, all 58%, $814, almost like a $10 to $11. So it's worth to check it out. The next game is Max Payne 3. So and the Max Payne 2. So Max Payne 3 is 70% off, $329, almost like a $3 to $4. So the Max Payne 3 is all about this no longer New York City scope. Max Payne moves to the Sao Paulo to protect the wealthy families and offer to finally escape his troubled past. His complete editions of the Max Payne 3 includes the complete original games and all the previously released downloadable content as well. So it's a story about the Max Payne grieving throughout his own pain and trying to move on, but still the past cannot be erased or they will hunt you down. So that's all the story about. 70% off, $329, almost like $3 to $4. And the Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne, which is 75% off, $163, almost $2. So this is a violent film noir love story, tragic, intense, and depth story of the thrill ride, shocking twist and revelations. Love hurts. So this is all about this. His life ruins. Max and finds himself back in NYPD during the routine murder investigations. He runs into the Noire, a woman who thought dead, a fatal murder suspect, so she holds the keys to the questions that haunt him. So it's a 70% off, $163, almost $2. So I highly suggest you to check it out. The Max Payne 2, the Max Payne 3 is the amazing. You can have the experience of the storytelling and the gameplays as well, with this noir gameplay, gunfights, and slow motions that pretty fantastically executed in every Max Payne game. The next game is the Bloody Spell. So it's a totally underrated games and nobody tried to follow up these games as well. I believe it's 82% off, $158, almost the $2. So I believe this is the coolest game you can get from this Chinese game, which is the martial art action roleplay games. The core of the game is battling oriented and it's combined many fighting elements. If you want a single player who pursue blood and is brave enough to challenge limits, it will definitely inspire your adrenaline and bring you the best combat experience. Yes, definitely every weapon has a different movesets and you can perform every skills and combos with every weapons. So that's the great one. Even if you are switching a weapon, you perform a one special move for that. So that's a great, I believe. It's a fun to have these kind of games, and you want to experience the varieties and diverse combat system. Get the Bloody Spell, 82% off, $158, almost I believe the $2 to $3. The next is totally apart from the spring sale which I left, which is Cyberpunk 2077, 60% off, $11.99, almost like a $12 to $13. It's an open world action adventure RPG set in the dark future of the Night City, a dangerous megapolis obsessed with powers, glamours, and ceaseless body modifications. So you play as the 2 characters, either you can choose a male or female. It's an action RPG where you play as cyberpunk mercenary wrapped up in a do or die fight or survivals. Improved features, all free additional content is there. Customize your characters and play style you take on the jobs. So it's a 60% off, $11.99. It has a Phantom Liberty DLC, which is 25% off, $11.24. It's also the $12 to $13. I highly suggest you that you get this deal. Or you can get the Ultimate Editions. You can say 48% off, $2,137, almost like a $22 to $23. So that's the worst to check it out. It becomes a gem of the next gen games. So that's a great deal. The next game is coming up from the Dying Light 2 Stay Human Reloaded Editions, which is 67% off, $11.54, which combines all the DLCs already added to it, which is the Blood Ties and other original soundtracks and art book as well. So This game is totally takes a different part of this from the Dying Light 1, which is 15 years ahead of the time of the Dying Light 1 events, which is takes in with Velador. Humanity is fighting alongside battle against the virus, experience the post-apocalyptic world, open world overrun by hordes of zombies, where use parkour and combat skills key to survive, traverse the city and freely during the day, but watch out monsters over during the night. So it's 67% off, $11.54, almost like a $12-13. The next is coming up for the Blasphemous and Blasphemous 2 bundle. So I believe this is the 2D slower Blasphemous game, which has a Soulslike mechanics. So I believe this will be the most Souls-like game in a 2D platform, which is a brutal action platformer with skills, hack and slash combat, set in a nightmare worlds of, which is the patent of one awakens, the Blasphemous 2 joins him once again in an endless struggle against the miracle. Dive into the perilous new world filled with the mysterious and secrets to discover, and tear your way through the monstrous foes that stand between you and your quest to end the cycle once for all. So it's a 64% off, left $14.38, almost like a $15 to $16. And the next underrated games, which I haven't got these sequels from the Crytek, which is Ryse, Son of Rome. 65% off, $11.122, almost like a $1 and a few cents. So it tells the story of the Marius Titus, a young Roman soldier who witnessed the murder of his family and hands of the barbarian bandits that travel through the Roman Empire army with the Britannia to seek the revenge. So it's a 60% off, $122, almost phenomenally graphics. Combat kinds of feels like a repetitive, but it's a good fresh of air if you wanted to experience this kind of ROMs, and highly you can say the games it's totally ahead of its time. So 65% off, $122, almost like $102. So I highly suggest you to check it out. The next game is Satisfactory. So I have included because it has more than 200,000 positive reviews. So 30% off, $11.20, which is almost like a $12 to $13. So you get this base building automation open world crafting game, which is the first version open world building games with the dash of explorers, combat, play alone or with playing friends, explore an alien planet, create multi-stories factories, and enter the conveyor belt heaven. So it's a 30% off, $11.20, almost like a $12 to $13. So I believe that's a great deal for you. It's if you wanted to play with the base building automations. So that's a great deal. The next is a Souls-like game, Thymesia. Thymesia 60% off, $7.99, almost like a $9. So it's a grueling action RPG, the fast-paced combat, and the intrigued plague weapon system in its kingdom, where the death spreads play as the mysterious characters known as the codename Corvus. Prey upon your enemies with the power of the disease and find the truth in your own memories. So it's a 60% off, $7.99, almost like a $9. So that's a great deal on the $10. The next game is Noir. Noir is still 50% off, $5.49, almost like a $5 to $6. So this game is a detective crime open world Noir action adventure. In the fight, climb ranks, and do what's right. LAPD, which is a Los Angeles Police Department. Detective Corp helps most unravel the truth behind the string of an arson attack, conspiracies, and the brutal murders, battling the LA underworld and even members of his own department. So 50% off, $5.49, almost like a $6. So highly suggest you to check it out if you wanted to play as a detective game as well. The next game is the World War Z. So World War Z have 67% off, $4.94, almost like a $5 to $6. Aftermath 50% off, 1,000 piece, which is almost like a $10 to $12. Aftermath Deluxe Editions 48% off, $12.38, almost like a $14 to $15. So these games is totally based on the zombie multiplayer co-op actions, which from the Saber Interactive. World War Z is a hard-pounding co-op third-person shooters for up to 4 players, featuring massive swarms, hundreds of zombies, focused on the fast-paced, famously spectacular action games. So these games are totally based on the zombies, and it was free on the Epic Store, but it has gone. But still, we have a deal, so $4 to $5 is not a big deal for getting these games and having much more fun with the play other co-op friends, which you can experience all the hordes of zombies easily. So that's a great games to check it out. The next is Witcher Trilogy. So Witcher Trilogy 82% off, $506, almost like a $5 to $6, in which you can get the trilogy from the Witcher series, which is the Witcher Enhanced Editions, the Witcher Assassins of the Kings Enhanced Editions as well, while a Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, you will get all these DLCs from the Bloodwine, this journey for the Geralt of Rivia, from the Witcher 1 to becoming a Witcher, from 2 having got the blame for the Assassins of the Kings, and 3 where he totally gets retired after completing the missions of the city, finding in the Ender Blood. So Quite a bit of big adventure and action RPG, the best ones I can say. So 82% off, 506, almost like a $5 to $6. So I highly suggest you that. Cannot stress enough to recommend that this game is totally phenomenal, and it still looks beautiful. For the next gen update was free, so it still kind of compete with the latest launch for any games. So that's a great deal. 82% off, 506, almost like a $6. So the next game is Metal Hellsinger. So it's a rhythm-based game, which is 70% off, 384, almost like $4. So it's a first-person rhythm-based atmospheric single-player music game. So slay the rhythm of the metal and vengeance on an infernal journey through the 8 hells. Make them fear the beat. Metal Hellsinger is a rhythm FPS bursting with demons, badass weapons, and heavy metal music. So the whole concept of this game is to gunplays with the music, and you have to match the every beat to the music and have a gunplay, so that's so you can get more buffs and more damage. So that's a rhythmic game. It's a cool concept. So 70% off, 384, almost like $4. So we have a Remnant from the Ashes, 75% off, 360, almost like a $3 to $4. So we also have the Remnant Standard Bundle, which is 58% off, $16.29, almost like $18 to $20. So you gotta get, here is the Remnant 1 and Remnant 2 bundle at the same time, and all the DLCs are already included to it. So the Remnant from the Ashes will be playing third-person survival action shooter set in a post-apocalyptic world overrun by monstrous creature. Has one of the remnants of humanity. You will set up alone alongside of our 2 players to face down the hordes of the deadly enemies and the epic bosses. While Remnant 2 is the sequel from the best-selling Remnant from the Ashes, the bits of survivability of the human against the new deadly creatures and the godlike bosses across the terrifying worlds. Play solo or co-op. The 2 other friends can explore the depth of the unknown to stop an evil from destroying the reality itself. To succeed, the player will need to rely on their own skills, and those are their teams to overcome the toughness, challenges, and the stuff of humanity extinctions. So with this 58% off, $16.29. So this is the bundle, which you have the $80, while you get the first one from the Ashes, you can get the 360, almost like a $4. While if you're gonna buy a Remnant 2, which is $14.50, almost like a $14 to $16. So I highly suggest you wanna buy the bundles. So that's the 58% off, $16.29, almost like a great deal. The next is the GreedFall. The first one is totally phenomenal in respective of the RPG and the open world character customizations. 80% off, $319, almost like a $3 to $3.50. So engage in a core role-playing experience and forge the destiny of the new world, seeping with magic and filled with the richest lost secrets and fantastic creatures. With the diplomacy, deception, and force, become the part of the living and evolving world, influence its course, and shape your story. So 80% off, $319, almost like a $3 and $3.50. So that's a great deal, and I highly suggest you to check it out. The next is Gungrave G.O.R.E. So it's 84% off, $268, almost like a $3. So it's an action adventure 3D shoot 'em up game, which is Gungrave's stylish third-person action shooter by South Korean studios, which you take the role of Grave, a gunslinger of resurrections and the badass anti-hero of your dreams. So mowing down the tons of enemy in the G.O.R.E ballad of bullets. So it's a different, unique kind of game, and have a shoot 'em up games. So definitely it's will be the more fun, shoot more actions and all the stuff. So 84% off, $268, almost like a $3. So it's worth to check it out. The next game is Manhunt. So it was from the Rockstar's games, so it's highly controversial game when it was released, but I will still suggest you to play this game. Highly psychological, as you can say, dark, violent, stealth horror game. So it's 65% off, $228, almost like a $2 and few cents. So that's a great deal. I can suggest you to get this game. So the next is the Maneater. So Maneater is quite of the fun game. You play as a different kinds of sharks and man-eating big fishes. So it's 75% off, $224. So $2 and few cents. So experience the ultimate power fantasy as the apex predator to seize and giant shark terrorize the coastal waterways, tear swimmers and divers limbs from limb, give the human for a reason to fear you. So definitely you are playing as a shark and fear among all of the coastal areas and humans so that they cannot swim to the sea, and if they do something sus, you can just tear their limbs and limbs. So 75% off, $224, almost like a $2 to $3. The next one is my friend Pedro. So it's a cool game which is 75% off, $220, which is action indie shooter, parkour, violent and gore games, which is a ballad about friendship, imaginations and one man's struggle to obliterate anyone on his path at the behest of the sentient banana. So there is a talkative companion which is banana, 75% off, $220, almost like a $2 to $3. The next one is coming up from the Trine Ultimate Collections, 51% off, $14.11. So it has all the journeys from the action adventure indie RPG, which is totally plays as a co-op and solo as well, where you get the AI companions. So it's all stories about the 2.5D platform where you can find a lot of puzzles. That's the coolest thing, that you have a lot of puzzles in the Trine game series, and only you can find that much of twisting puzzles in Trines. So the best way to experience the entire Trine series include all the enhanced editions from the Trine 2 complete stories, Trine 3 the Artifact Power of, and Trine 4 the Nightmare Prince, and Trine 5 a Clockwork Conspiracy. So it's 51% off, $14.11, almost like a $14 to $16. So I highly suggest you to check it out if you wanted to play with your friends as well, or co-op, or you wanted to experience all puzzling games. So that's a great deal. The next is Huntdown. So Huntdown is a 2D action platformer, 80% off, $176, almost like a $2 and few cents. Pixel graphics, side-scroller action shooter. So in the mayhem filled with the street of the futures where criminal gangs rule and co-ops fear the threat, only the bounty hunters can free the city from the corrupt fist of felony, lay waste to the criminal underworld, and make a killing in his hard-boiled action comedy arcade shooter. So I suggest you that this is the great 2D explorer game where you have the challenging boss battles as well, and run and gun shooting style, and also have a cyberpunk kind of theme, so you can also have to experience all this stuff. So I highly suggest you to check it out. This is an 80% off, $176, almost like a $2, so it's not a big deal. So I highly suggest you to experience this game, which is totally fun and does not require the highest possible graphics card for this. The next game is for, I can say, the parody of Assassin's Creed Shadow, which is a Yasuke simulator. So 50% off, $170, almost like a $2. So you are playing as a Yasuke, which is step into the 1579 American warrior, join the Oda Nobunaga and his quest to unite Japan, and the master precise katana combat, uncover secrets, gears, and unleash your ancestral power in this historical inspired action-packed journey through the feudal Japan. So how much percentage of the accurate for this depicted the Yasuke simulator is already been explained by the developer and the publishers, because the developer and publishers are the same, which is historically accurate developers. So it's a 50% now, $170. I believe you will laugh throughout this game. So that's the cheapest way to have a lot of fun and a lot of smiling and laughing all over the places as you play the games. It's the weirdest game and the weirdest kind of mechanics. You can't even expect that this could exist in the feudal Japan. It's just an imagination, and have a lot of fun. 15% off, $170, almost like a $2. So the last but not least is Industria. So 85% off, $132, almost like a $1 and a few cents. So it's an FPS sci-fi single-player dystopian kind of city where you exist. So embark on a gripping journey of the Industria and atmospheric FPS in the Cold War era Earth East Berlin. Unravel the secrets of the mysterious parallel dimensions while searching for the missing colleague. Experience and explore the haunting reality where the truth awaits. Discover the dark past that lies beyond. So it's 85% off, $132, almost like a $1 and less than $1 few cents, and less than even $2. So I highly suggest you to check it out. This is just a psychological horror and sci-fi single-player game. So I believe this could be the unique experience from the other psychological horror games. So that's 85% on $132, almost like a $1 and a few cents. So that's it from my side. I'll bring back the new videos and updates. So spring sale is ending soon, so grab these deals from all these genres and every games which are mentioned in the descriptions below. So I meet you in the next video. Till then, keep gaming. Nupka Soap. I'm out.
Yeah, boy.